Man, what a way to kick off a season. The Raiders came out swinging in Week 1, pulling off a 20-13 victory over the New England Patriots. And let me tell you, it was the kind of win that makes you want to jump up and shout from the rooftops. I know some folks are calling it an overreaction Monday, but sometimes, after watching a game like that, you just have to believe it, baby. The Raiders didn't play a flawless game. Far from it, but good teams find a way to win, and that's exactly what we saw on the field. There's something electric about starting 1-0 in the books, especially when it comes with a performance like that. I can't help but feel this surge of excitement, the kind that makes you want to run through the streets chanting your team's name. Winning Week 1 sets the tone. It gives you confidence. It tells you that this team has fight, grit, and the ability to pull through even when things aren't perfect. And man, this game wasn't perfect. It was messy. There were struggles, turnovers, missed opportunities, and moments where you just held your breath. But the Raiders found a way to grind it out, and that says something about the culture this coaching staff is building. And speaking of that culture, let's talk about the quarterback. Geno Smith is the real deal. I said it in the offseason, and I'm doubling down after seeing him out there under the bright lights. This guy is criminally underrated, top 10 potential, and after watching him handle that Patriots defense, I'm telling you, he's the guy who can take this team where it needs to go. He isn't flashy for the sake of it, but he's steady, confident, and he makes the plays that count. You watch him in the huddle, and you can see a quarterback who knows who he is, who trusts his own arm, and who's not afraid to put the ball where it needs to go even when the circumstances aren't ideal. Losing your top tight end, facing 3rd down and 20, most teams would play it safe. Most coaches would call it conservative play. But with Geno Smith, you can let him loose, and he'll deliver. A sliding catch by Dante Thornton Jr., long throws downfield, clutch decisions in crunch time. This is the kind of quarterback who gives his team a legitimate chance to win every week. And that's not just hype. That's tangible performance. 9 completions over 20 yards in a single game against a team like New England. That's elite-level output. That's the kind of playmaking that turns games around and keeps a team in contention no matter what else is going on. And while we're talking stats, let's not ignore the fact that the Raiders managed to win despite averaging only 2.1 yards per carry on the ground. That's right, less than 2.5 yards per carry. Yet they found a way to move the chains through the air thanks to a quarterback who truly understands the field, the defense, and the situation at hand. In fact, it's the first time the Raiders have pulled off a win under circumstances like these since 1993. 1993. That gives you a sense of just how monumental Geno's performance was. It wasn't pretty, but it was necessary, and it got the job done. And the confidence? The mindset? Geno's words say it all. "I'm me," he said. That's it. Simple, yet profound. No excuses, no blaming teammates. No dwelling on mistakes. That kind of mental toughness is what defines a franchise quarterback. He knows what he's capable of, and every time he steps onto that field, he gives the Raiders a shot at victory. And you can feel it throughout the team. When your quarterback has that level of self-belief, it spreads. It infects the offense, lifts the defense, and inspires the coaching staff to push the limits, knowing they have someone under center who can make the plays when it counts. And Geno didn't just make the plays, he dominated. 362 passing yards in Week 1, putting him on pace for a staggering 6,154 yards over the season, if he keeps this up. I know it sounds insane, but after watching him shred the Patriots' defense with precise throws, deep connections, and clutch conversions, I wouldn't even bet against it. This isn't just talent. This is poise, preparation, and execution all rolled into one. The marriage between Geno Smith and Chip Kelly's offense is exactly what Raider fans have been waiting for. A system built to maximize his strengths, stretch defenses vertically, and create explosive plays downfield. And it worked from the first snap. Now, let's pivot to the broader team. The Raiders showed they can compete on both sides of the ball, and Week 1's performance gives us some serious optimism about playoff potential. I know it's early. 1-0 doesn't make a season, but history tells us that starting strong matters. Over the last 33 seasons, a Week 1 win has been a solid indicator of playoff success for the Raiders, with the team making it to the postseason 6 out of 12 times after a first-week victory. That's a 50% success rate, which is a huge leap from the 0% you'd see after a loss. Beyond the stats, there's also the intangible grit that comes through in road victories. Winning on the road is never easy. You face hostile crowds, long travel, and unpredictable environments, yet the Raiders found a way to win. The adjustments made at halftime were textbook. The defensive line stepped up, applying pressure at critical moments, generating 3 sacks and 6 quarterback hits, and holding New England to just 10 points in the second half. Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll's coaching acumen was on full display, showing that even when the first half didn't go perfectly, the team could adapt, respond, and dominate. That's the hallmark of a playoff-caliber squad: the ability to overcome adversity, correct mistakes, and execute under pressure. And let's not forget about the leadership and influence of Pete Carroll himself. The guy is a living legend. National championships, Super Bowls, decades of success, and a mentality that's infectious. At 73 years old, he still brings the intensity, focus, and competitive spirit of a 37-year-old, and that energy resonates throughout the locker room. When you have someone like Carroll on your sideline, players elevate their game. They respond to the challenge, and they buy into a culture of winning that permeates every practice, every game, and every preparation session. Combine that with Chip Kelly's offensive genius and Patrick Graham's defensive insight, and you've got a coaching staff capable of taking this team deep into the season. Even with all the imperfections, the shaky offensive line, the missed field goals, the turnovers, the Raiders found a way to pull through. That's what good teams do. They find solutions, adapt, and capitalize on opportunities. And Week 1 showed that this team has all the pieces to compete at a high level. The combination of a franchise quarterback, a seasoned coaching staff, and players willing to fight for every yard makes this an exciting year for Raiders fans. Week 1 was just a glimpse, but if it's any indication, the Silver and Black are not just here to participate. They're here to compete, to win, and to make a statement. And after watching that game, it's hard not to get fired up about what's coming next. As we dive deeper into this team and what we saw in Week 1, one thing is crystal clear. The Raiders are built to handle pressure. It's one thing to win at home, in front of your fans, with the comfort of familiar surroundings. It's another entirely to go on the road and snatch a victory in a hostile environment. And that's exactly what happened against the Patriots. From the opening snap, you could feel the tension, the energy, and the weight of expectations, and yet the Raiders didn't crumble. They didn't panic. They adapted. They executed. That's the difference between a team that's good on paper and a team that's good when it matters. Every quarterback throw, every defensive stop, every adjustment in real time was a piece of a puzzle that came together perfectly in the second half. You saw it in the way they shut down New England for 2 entire quarters, scoring 13 unanswered points while holding one of the league's most disciplined offenses in check. That kind of dominance doesn't happen by accident. It's the product of coaching, preparation, and players who trust the system and each other. And speaking of trust, let's talk about the coaching staff, because this was a masterclass in leadership. Pete Carroll is more than just a legendary figure with a resume full of championships. He's a coach who makes players believe in themselves. He sets the tone from the sideline, showing that age doesn't matter when it comes to competitiveness and mental toughness. His presence lifts the team, and you can see it in the way the Raiders adjusted at halftime. Defensive strategies were refined, pressure was dialed up at the right moments, and the offense played smarter, not harder. You saw the results in sacks, quarterback hits, and points allowed. 3 sacks and 6 hits on the quarterback, with only 3 points given up in garbage time, tells you everything you need to know about how well-prepared and adaptable this team is. They can pivot, adjust, and take advantage of every opportunity, and that's exactly what a team needs if it wants to make noise in the playoffs. The offensive side of the ball deserves just as much credit, and it all starts with Geno Smith. Watching him operate is like watching a conductor lead an orchestra. He's calm under pressure, decisive in his reads, and confident in his decisions. Even when the play isn't perfect, even when the line is struggling to create space, he finds a way to make it work. 9 completions over 20 yards, over 360 passing yards, all while facing a defense that's built to disrupt rhythm. That's elite quarterback play. And it's not just raw stats. It's the timing, the anticipation, and the poise. Geno Smith is the kind of player who makes those around him better, who forces defenses to account for every possibility, and who can turn a mediocre play into a game-changing moment. He's the reason the Raiders have a chance to win every week, and his leadership sets the tone for the rest of the team. When your quarterback has that mindset, the rest of the roster feels invincible. Now let's talk about the players who stepped up in critical moments. The team had to overcome a subpar rushing attack with an average of just 2.1 yards per carry. That's rough. It's frustrating. It forces the offense to rely on the passing game to carry the load. And yet, with all those obstacles, the Raiders found ways to convert third downs, sustain drives, and ultimately close out the game. Players like Dante Thornton Jr., who made clutch catches when it mattered most, exemplify the resilience and determination that define this team. It's those small moments, those critical conversions that often decide the outcome of games, and the Raiders executed them when it counted most. The offensive line may have struggled at times, but the skill players, the quarterback, and the coaching staff work together to mask weaknesses and highlight strengths. That's a hallmark of a team capable of going deep into the postseason, the ability to adapt in real time and overcome adversity. And while we're talking about adapting, let's give credit where credit is due. The Raiders' defensive adjustments in the second half were remarkable. New England had early momentum, but the Raiders figured it out. They limited explosive plays, applied the right pressure at the right moments, and forced the Patriots to settle for suboptimal decisions. It's the kind of coaching and execution that doesn't always show up in flashy highlights, but it wins games. Halftime adjustments like this separate teams that are playoff contenders from those that merely participate. Patrick Graham's defensive schemes, paired with Pete Carroll's game management and leadership, gave the Raiders the edge. The combination of strategic preparation and in-game adaptability was on full display, and it left the Patriots struggling to respond. That's the kind of control and dominance that makes fans excited for the season ahead, because it demonstrates that this isn't a fluke. This is a team capable of rising to the occasion when it matters most. It's also worth noting the impact of leadership beyond just the coaches and quarterback. Veteran players set the tone for younger teammates, and everyone bought into the philosophy of playing smart, disciplined football. When a team fell behind early, they didn't panic. They executed their assignments, trusted the game plan, and responded. That mental toughness, that resilience is contagious. It spreads through the roster and becomes part of the identity of a team. And it's that identity that often carries a team through the toughest parts of a season, when injuries strike, when matchups are unfavorable, and when the stakes are highest. Even with some mistakes and missed opportunities, the Raiders proved they could win in spite of adversity. Missed field goals, shaky offensive line play, and turnovers could have been enough to derail a lesser team. But not this Raiders team. They found ways to make plays, adjust, and dominate when it counted most. That's the mark of a team ready to contend, a team that knows how to win even when everything isn't going perfectly. And that gives fans a reason to be genuinely excited, a reason to believe that this year could be special. Week 1 was just a taste, but if it's any indication of what's coming, the silver and black are in for an exciting ride. And let's not forget the intangible elements, the chemistry, the confidence, the belief. Geno Smith's leadership, combined with Pete Carroll's energy, Chip Kelly's offensive creativity, and Patrick Graham's defensive intelligence, has created an environment where players thrive. They trust each other, trust the system, and trust the game plan. That trust manifests on the field in crucial moments, in tight games, and in situations where execution is everything. It's a mindset that builds not just wins, but momentum, confidence, and identity. This is a Raiders team that, after Week 1, looks like it's ready to compete with anyone. The season is long, and there will be challenges, but the foundation is strong. Week 1 gave us a glimpse of what this team can do, and it's exciting to imagine what's ahead. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Is Las Vegas about to become the new fortress of fear in the NFL? Whispers around the league suggest the Raiders may have just pulled off one of the boldest moves of the offseason, sending shockwaves through every locker room. Rumor has it that the team has secured none other than Aaron Donald, the defensive juggernaut whose name alone makes quarterbacks break into a cold sweat. If true, this could be the dawn of what fans are already calling the Raider Wall 2.0. Sources close to the organization hint that this is more than just a signing. It's a statement. The Raiders, long criticized for inconsistency on defense, could be on the brink of assembling a unit that rivals the most fearsome squads in recent memory. Donald's presence alone changes the calculus. His ability to disrupt plays from the interior, collapse the pocket, and terrorize offensive lines is legendary. Combine that with Las Vegas' emerging young talent and a coaching staff eager to innovate, and suddenly the term nightmare defense isn't hyperbole. Inside the league, murmurs are growing. Rivals are reportedly watching film with a new level of concern, knowing that any offensive game plan will now have to account for a defensive machine anchored by Donald. Some insiders suggest the Raiders could redefine the AFC West hierarchy almost overnight, turning a team that has flirted with potential into one that inspires genuine fear. Could we be witnessing the birth of the NFL's most intimidating front seven? Fans, of course, are buzzing. Social media is awash with speculation, with hashtags like #RaiderWall 2.0 trending within hours of the leak. Merchandise designs are already popping up in fan forums, and ticket resale markets are reacting as if the news were already official. Whether it's hype or reality, the aura of anticipation is palpable. One thing seems certain. If Aaron Donald really joins the silver and black, the NFL landscape will never look the same again. Stay tuned, because if these rumors hold water, opposing quarterbacks might want to start planning their exits now. The Raiders could be building more than a defense. They might be constructing a full-blown nightmare. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.